Yeah, I can see into the bottom of this mounting hole, and it's almost touching the wood now. I've got 1.9 right now, and if I take a ½ inch off of that, I've got 1.4. And so I need to be 1.375. I'm 25 thousandths too much this way. But I've still got a little bit of room between the bottom of this, the inside portion of that tang, and the wood. I can see it. There's a little room in there. So what I'm going to do is mark and drill this hole and put this screw in, put tension on this thing, and I can see it start to blacken some places, and I can fine tune that once I've got tension and this is bottomed out right there. It is a process. I'll try to sight down into that hole. It's pretty far down in there, and get a line on the center of that screw. Connect those two dots. And that should guide me. I've got a lot smaller bit in here than what I need. And I'm not going to go out the other side. I'm going to start and go from both ways and then connect in the middle. I hope. That looks like it's on about the same plane as that right there. And straight in this way. Now the other side of this is threaded, so I cannot, I can't afford to be running around there with a drill bit. I might scuff up those threads. That would not be good. The first thing I got to do is mark the center of that hole, not just the center, but where the hole is. I've got my straight line on this side, so the camera can't see it, but I can. And hopefully I connect to that other hole. And I can see a straight line between those two holes. It's a straight shot. I can see out the other side of it. Okay. So now I just have to enlarge the hole. So that screw fits tight, nice and tight in there. And if it's in the right place, it ought to draw that receiver tight up where it needs to go. Without the bottom tang in, I'm going to try to just see if those threads hit and line up with the top tang. They don't seem to. All right, I can see down in there, and the bolt is a little bit far back, which is a really, really good place for it to start. So I can ooch that hole forward ever so slightly. I can scoot that thing forward a little bit. You gotta adjust a hole. You look down, you drill towards yourself, because you can see the tip of that drill bit, especially if you get your light in the right place. You can guide that thing, you can see it. I gotta come forward and a little tiny bit to my right. And that should do it. Now I can see that screw lines up with those threads. I can look right down in there and see it. So that should take care of that end of it. All right, that contacted the threads and pulled it up without having to try to force it in either direction. Now if that'll happen with the bottom tang on, and it did. Before I get this tightened up, I'm going to put this front screw in. If that's correct, including my 1/2 inch, that ought to be 1.875. I have 1.88, and I'm okay with that. But I think I need to add just a teeny bit, because my threads, I can feel my threads sticking out on the bottom, or actually coming out the top. And so I need to build this back up a teeny bit with a shim and some epoxy. Just a touch. The reason it measured correctly is because that little wooden block right there was sitting on top of the bolt, and the bolt sticks out proud of the top tang. You can see the bolt sticking out proud of that top tang. See, that can't be. So I'm going to build it back up. Underneath this bottom tang, I'm going to add a little bit of epoxy and a shim to cover this all the way from here to back there. I'm going to put a shim back in there, whatever that is. That's probably 25, 30 thousandths. But it needs to have that to fit correctly. Right now there's some tension, some spring tension between here and here. And this has got this pulled in too tight. So I can fix that. I'm just applying some pressure as if that screw was in there. I put the pressure on the front. That screw is tight. This is pretty much a snug fit all the way up and down. I put that shim in there, and I'm going to let that dry before I drill that hole. It's hard to drill a hole in a shim of wood that's about half as thick as saran wrap. But anyway, this will keep the pressure in the right place in the right amount, as if that screw was in there. When it dries, I can punch a drill bit through there, no problem. So I'm gonna let that set up, and I'm gonna go eat some lunch. 1.375, which is what it's supposed to be at finished height, plus a ½ inch, should be 1.875. And what I have is now 1.893, so I am 18 thousandths bigger than what it needs to be with this screw tight and the readjusted shim glued in place. I'm good with that. The screw on top feels like it's a teeny bit recessed. It is a very, very slight, it's a very slight recess for that screw on top, and I'm fine with that. Before I put the side plates on, I'm going to remove some excess wood. I have wood on the side here. I'm going to remove a bunch of the excess. Just take this off of here because it's in the way when you're starting to inlet those side plates. It needs to be fairly close to this level right here. I'm going to take some wood off the bottom. I've got plenty to remove. Now the trigger guard will dictate that this from here back will remain a little bit above the surface of this bottom tang, because trigger guards sit down into this. But the top, see all this extra wood right along in here, all that'll come off. I'm just going to pare it down, get it a little closer to work with. That lets me put my trigger guard on here and tell where this thing needs to stay kind of fat. From about here back, this doesn't need to go down near as far as it does right around the triggers. So about right there is where I need to leave it fat.